How's it everyone, Jay here. In this video expedition is part 3 of a deep dive triple take for the Expanse universe naval fleet sizes for the interplanetary superpowers that of the United Nations of Earth, Luna, and Martian Congressional Republic spaceborne naval military arms to determine the lowest plausible ship strength number for the solar system during the mid-24th century, beginning at Season 1 in the midst of the Earth-Mars conflict. The Expanse novels in the series of 6 seasons never directly gives an actual or specific figure to solve this elusive and unknown background plot element. Although numerous Easter eggs and ship clusters frequently appear as episodic evidence, allowing for a logical approximation for this unknown integer from background scenes, opening the door for an in-depth analysis of the aforementioned available information and data. The first 2 episodes, titled The Expanse Navy Fleet Sizes of the UN and MCRN, examine the maximum numbers of ships on the high end required for the interplanetary UN-MCR war spanning the majority of the solar system. In the same manner, on-screen examples from Season 1 of The Expanse will be examined for a conclusion to what a substantial portion of the Expanse fandom consider to be an accurate depiction of fewer numbers of Earth and Martian naval vessels that spearheaded the military campaign and armed conflict for control of the solar system's economic resources and the proto-molecule. In Season 1, Episode 8, Detective Joseph Miller booked passage on a merchant transport ship from the Belter Capital series en route to Arrow Station. In the crew cabin, the newsfeed console displayed interplanetary fleet deployments, that of Earth and Mars, to reinforce trade zones and orbit territory borders unfolding during the covert war for control of a top-secret weapons program now escalating throughout the entire solar system. This planetary orbit transit chart, combined with research from previous videos, will be utilized to extrapolate this new fleet data number to formulate a second variant for the overall size of the naval forces in the Expanse universe solar system. The UN-N and MCRN fleet size and composition videos parts 1 and 2 determined the Earth Navy consisted that of 3,150 ships and a 635 strong force of the rival Martian Navy. Both of these episode links will be listed in the description at the end of this video. So now let's look at the new key evidence. The orbits displayed on the breaking news vid screen show that of Earth, Luna, Mars, Jupiter, and Ceres station orbits of the asteroid belt trade network, encompassing roughly 70% of the colonized solar system being visible. Off-screen is a third of Belter orbits and the outer planetary gas giants of Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune in rimward orbits outside the image area, with the remaining 30% of the solar system logistical routes also not being displayed. The United Nations naval ships are shown in blue and the Martian Republic vessels in red, with both represented by 2 distinct marker symbols, one large and one small polygon of 3-dimensional prisms. By enhancing the image with filters and pinpointing every ship number gives a total number of 28 large and 247 small UN-N profiles, with the MCRN consisting of 20 large and 68 smaller symbols.
If you like spaceships, hit subscribe in the bottom right hand corner on the extremely small watermark box of the channel icon.
Due to the immense size-to-scale ratio of the solar system image projection, the taller silhouette symbols represent a collection of smaller icons to display a concentrated group formation of naval vessels. Throughout the Expanse series, these configurations have been outlined on tactical displays and navigational readouts during the UN-MCR war and the Free Navy conflict. The most commonly used in the Martian Navy is a battle group encompassing 3 to 8 vessels, with the formation of 6 ships making the most on-screen appearances as a standard battle group, with the Martian naval doctrine of engineering advanced ships of a higher quality in that of fewer numbers. The United Nations Navy has a substantially larger force with a design philosophy of quantity over quality, balancing the strategic battle space with more ships in each naval formation and strike forces, ranging in size from 12 to 30 strong fleet elements. This was also displayed on ship command layout consoles and tactical displays in numerous episodes. Therefore, this leads into the first set of criteria to formulate the representative data from the feed's breaking news display vid. The next factor to take into consideration is when does this take place from a military and strategic point of view. In the Expanse Universe timeline, Season 1, Episode 8 transpires a few months into the Earth-Mars conflict that was set in motion by a rogue fleet of stealth warships attacking Earth core freighters and a Martian battleship in the outer asteroid belt and Saturn orbits, leading us next into defense readiness levels. The general rule of advanced naval logistics for strategic Sol system defense posture in standard operations is the Stage 4 readiness level quarter cycle. This allocates 1/4 or 25% of the total naval force be deployed in orbits and the areas of operations for active mission profiles. The next quarter of ships will be in transit in between interplanetary ports and destination. The third 25% fleet allocation is docked at shipyards and naval posts for general maintenance repairs and deployment preparations. The final quarter rotation of total fleet vessels make up the Naval Ready Reserve on standby status at ports and naval stations, with the crews on shore leave or undertaking advanced training in military academics. The highest level of spaceborne naval operations is Stage 1 Strategic Defense Status, utilizing the maximum 1/3 role of logistical fleet strength rotations, designating 1/3 or 33% of all ships for active strategic mission deployments in areas of operations. The next 1/3 performing interplanetary transits, and the final third of naval ships undergoing full-scale maintenance, repair, and damage control at all available stations, ports, and shipyards, or simply put, full-scale mobilization on a solar system-wide scale to include corporate, civilian, and private industry sectors. This occurred in Season 2 of The Expanse during the UN-MCR war between the planetary superpower adversaries of Earth and Mars for control of the Sol system's resources and territorial orbits, with the underlying theme and overtone of obtaining the newly discovered ultra-advanced proto-molecule technology. Now, circling back to the timeline of when this live newsfeed graphic of fleet maneuvers takes place, Season 1, Episode 8 transpires around day 250 in the year 2351 Sol, about 5 months into the proxy trade war and the commerce raiding of merchant trade vessels, primarily in the outer planetary shipping lanes, that has recently escalated to the asteroid belt's economic trade zone borders and orbits. This would be right at the end of Stage 3 naval security mobilization phases, when all of the armed services, planetary and defense personnel are recalled from shore leave and training to actively make ready the reserve spaceborne naval elements for active combat preparation and deployment duties. Although due to the covert nature of commerce raiding relying heavily on mercenaries combined with belter and outerplanetary factions utilizing asymmetrical naval warfare recruited, financed, and supported by the interplanetary superpowers of Earth and Mars, these large-scale operations with multiple layers of complexity require secrecy from the eye of the public media to achieve plausible deniability, also balancing out the overall strategic equation in that of itself. Similar to the 20th century's pre-war industrial nations of the United States and Soviet Union supporting and arming the United Kingdom's commonwealths and the Axis powers of Central Europe and East Asia some 400 years prior. Naval public relations and press releases maintains the same 4-quarter readiness rotation for this quietly elevated security mobilization. The only difference is 25% of the ready reserve naval force is placed on active duty deployment in addition to the regular rotation of standard maintenance and repaired readied ships, doubling the fleet staging forces to 50% strength, in addition to activating a further 50% of the military reserve personnel under the false narrative of fleet-wide naval exercises and annual training. Determining the fleet composition integers from the newsfeed layout display combined with the naval deployment status percentages can now start crunching the numbers to solve this lowest denomination for naval fleet strengths. The MCRN patrol group symbol consists of 3 ships, and the UNN task force marker represents 12 vessels with both planetary navies operating on proxy conflict quarter logistics of 4 deployment rotations, representing the standard UNN and MCRN navigational fleet groups as the proxy trade war conflict escalates across the solar system. The 20 MCRN patrol groups equals 60 ships added to the 67 single sorties for a sum total of 127 on-screen Martian naval vessels inside the image area. Factoring the 30% of ship ratios outside the display border accounts for 38 of the non-visible sum of ships maneuvering on navigation lanes in the outer planetary orbits for a combined total of 166 Martian naval vessels. Inputting the 1/4 logistical rotation standards equals to 82 actively deployed ships on missions and the second quarter of 82 vessels in transit between orbits. The remaining third quarter accounts for the 82 ships docked for maintenance and repairs at stations and ports, with a final 25% of the 82 active reserve standby force. This brings the lowest common denominator of Mars Congressional Republic naval vessels at 328 total fleet strength number, comprising of 4 core fleets and 2 support fleets of around 50 ships each. 174 are frontline warships, of which 86 are active stealth capable for advanced tactical evasions and maneuvers. 154 are support ships, with 62 containing passive stealth systems for escort missions and duties. Full MCRN readiness level fields a deployment force of 110 active duty sorties to areas of operations in the Sol system for each rotational period. The United Nations Naval Fleet Strength, using the same criteria format of ships displayed on screen and outside the image area, totals 765, implementing the 4-quarter deployment cycles, compromising a UNN fleet strength integer, that of 1,575 ships, nearly 5 times that of the MCRN. Full-scale force projection enables Earth Fleet Command to dispatch 525 ships on active operational shift rotations at any given time. The United Nations Navy also has the advantage over the solar system's naval support and infrastructure networks through 8 primary fleets and 4 support fleets, roughly containing some 130 ships each. Compared with the first 2 video calculations of 3,150 UNN ships and 635 for the MCRN seems to work out better, while at the same time contradicting with the evidence. For example, Season 3, Episode 1, Fight or Flight, when formal declarations of war are decreed by the UN and MCR governments, the Martian naval ships orbiting the homeworld combined with the fleet around Ganymede of 137 vessels would be nearly half of the overall fleet. That would allow no other ships in the solar system besides these 2 specific locations, unless Mars was operating their spacecraft without maintenance and burning their ships out hard both technically and mechanically. This new figure drops the ratio of Donner-class battleships from 19 down to 8 produced, which is the beta canon general agreement for Martian ship design video content, along with a good amount of feedback in the comment sections. The decreased ratio of UNN capital ships also has merit as shown in Season 5. The Truman Dreadnought type contains 37 of the class on this reduced scale, along with 50 of the Leonidas class battleships. This coincides with Lovell Naval Station on Luna as the UNN home fleet's primary port, where 4 Trumans are in dry dock along with 8 Leonidas class and 4 naval escort ships. This lines up mathematically with the fleet class allocation and rotation of ships moored at port. Although, like their Martian counterparts, contradiction steps in. Again, in Season 3, Episode 1, there appears to be a rough estimate of 500 or more naval vessels around Earth and Luna. That would make up an entire 1/3 of UNN ships, thus adding credence back to the larger extrapolation total count of 3,150 UNN ships from the previous video breakdowns. Instead of spending the next hour confirming and disputing this lower common ship denominator, by averaging the totals from the higher count episodes through this video results new calculations for the United Nations Navy's mid-range total, that of 2,375, and the rival Martian Republic Navy now chiming in at a comfortable 487 vessels to average out the high and low results for both planetary superpowers. In conclusion, both these fleet strength combined totals match just right through the averages for approximate size, strength, and naval composition, with Earth capable of dispatching a 790 strong force through fleet rotational periods, and Mars deploying an advanced naval division of 160 alternating ships through each of their own respective spheres of orbital influence. The Expanse solar system spans an economic trade network with some 50 to 100,000 merchant vessels connecting interplanetary resources and industries, making one thing for certain: a substantial security and defense force is an essential component for the interplanetary superpowers, that of Earth and Mars. So what do you think is the most accurate size for the Expanse spaceborne Navy and military forces? This video's low-end approximation, the first two videos' higher extrapolations, and option 3, the average number between both of the calculations. Or do you have an alternate conclusion? Feel free to share your naval fleet strength estimates for the Expanse universe and feedback in the comment section below. For more science fiction video expeditions and additional content for the Expanse and other franchises, check out the channel's episodes and playlists. And feel free to hit subscribe for future channel productions. Peace out. Determining the fleet composition integer